I learned more about AI in 30 days than I did for the entire first year of my university. And I'm not even exaggerating. You see, when I came to Germany, I thought this is it. This is where I will learn cutting edge AI and I will become an expert. But after a whole year of university here, I felt bored, unmotivated, like I wasn't really improving in something meaningful. But then something changed. In 1 month, I went from theoretical knowledge to the point of building an AI application that actually works. And I want to explain to you how this happened. First, let me tell you what my first year of studying AI in Germany actually was like. When I first came here, I was so excited. I thought we'll dive directly into neural networks and we'll start working on cutting edge applications that uses AI, and we are going to be working with the latest AI models. That's the reason why I dropped my computer science degree to even come here to study AI in the first place. But instead, what did we get? Java programming. For those of you who don't know, Java is like the grandfather of programming languages, which is actually helpful to understand the basics of programming. But it's never used in AI in any way. But why Java? I don't know. But we also had subjects like analysis and algebra, which I guess are very important for the foundation of AI. But then we were learning things like bash scripting and other stuff that are really unrelated to AI. And don't get me wrong, I understand the importance of fundamentals. But the problem here was all these fundamentals or all this other stuff felt so abstract. We were learning concepts without ever applying them to something real or exciting. Let me give you an example. In our first semester, we learned about linear transformation and vector spaces. We spent 3 weeks doing that, and this is our routine. We will go to class, the professor will fill the board with some notes, he will explain, we will take notes, do some exercises, go back home and repeat again and again. Not once did we use this knowledge to actually apply it or even to show an example of how to apply this in the real life. Let's say, for example, implementing it with a machine learning algorithm that works with real data. Our first AI class was just a mathematical theory. We spent the entire semester learning supervised and unsupervised learning algorithms without ever applying them in real life, without ever doing something meaningful with those algorithms and building something real. It was all equations on the board, homework assignments, and exams testing our memorization. From the 140 students that started in the first semester, guess how many are left? Just 40. This is how demotivating the experience was for most people. I actually found myself skipping class and learning most of the stuff that I wanted to know on YouTube and on online classes. And I kind of feel guilty about it, but that was the only way I could actually learn something. But then something actually happened that changed my trajectory completely. I finally landed a part-time job as an AI developer in a company here in Germany. Getting that job was not easy. I actually made a video where I talk about the job situation in Germany right now, which I'll put the link in the description and you can watch after this one. But I applied for more than 50 job positions, especially in IT, and I was never able to get one, either because of the language, ich kann eigentlich ein bisschen Deutsch sprechen, aber nicht so gut, or even because of my experience, which was lacking in the areas that they were expecting. But it was frustrating because how could I get experience if no one was willing to give me a chance? But I kept trying, improving my portfolio, learning the skills. With the many interviews that I did, I learned how to handle them correctly, and this company took a chance in me. It wasn't the biggest company, but they were doing interesting work in natural language processing and they needed someone to help them with their backend. Let me tell you, when I first started this job, something magical happened. I started getting interested in AI once again. I started liking what I was doing once again. For the first time, I was working on actual real projects where I could see the result and the application in the real world. My responsibilities were fairly simple, mainly writing unit tests on the existing code and also helping with data processing. But being in that environment with people that were actually working and shipping AI products actually changed everything for me. I started coming back home from work and coding for another 4 to 5 hours, not because I had to, but because I actually wanted to. I felt that spark that actually brought me to study AI in the first place once again. And what made the difference? It was actually seeing the impact of what I was studying in university being applied in real life, how it would affect the society. In university, I was learning every concept in isolation, but at work, I was actually building something and working in stuff that I could actually see the meaningfulness and the helpfulness of that in real life. Also, the feedback loop was actually very fast compared to university, where you will learn something and you have to wait weeks and weeks until the exams to actually test if you were learning it correctly or not. But at work, when you build something, you can test it directly and see if it works, and that feedback loop actually accelerates your learning way faster than any other learning method. During this 1 month of working in this AI company and spending my evenings programming, I actually gained and learned more practical skills in AI than I did during my first year of university. I watched Andrej Karpathy's videos deep dive on large language models, LLMs, which if you haven't watched, you should watch, even if you're not a technical person. It's a very deep video on how LLM works. That single 2-hour video taught me more about how modern AI works than my entire semester of machine learning. I am going to put the link of that video in the description. Like I said, I highly recommend watching it, even if you're not a technical person, because that's where our world is going. At work, I started asking questions, lots of questions, and people were answering them with actual examples and practical examples that I could actually see and understand directly why it worked, not just how it worked, but also why it worked. My colleagues showed me how AI systems are built, deployed, and monetized. I also realized the critical role of data processing, which is kind of overlooked most often, and how often it is more important than the AI models themselves. Another thing I learned was how to read documentation effectively. Usually when you are at university, we don't really learn how to use documentations of libraries, but at work it is crucial to be able to decipher content from libraries on their documentations. With all this newfound knowledge and motivation, I actually decided to build something on my own. I created an AI assistant specifically for YouTube videos. You see, as someone who is trying to create content here on this channel, I found myself spending too much time doing research. I was frustrated with how hard it is to extract information from videos. So I decided to build a tool that does it. So I decided to build a tool that could answer questions about YouTube videos without watching the entire thing, find relevant videos on specific topics, analyze the transcript and extract the most important information, compare and analyze what content creators says about the same topic, and actually find the best videos on a certain topic to learn. Let me walk you through how this project came about. So one evening I was researching about a video I wanted to make, and I found myself watching hours and hours of content just to use a small fraction of that content after taking a bunch of notes. And I said to myself, there has to be a better way of doing this. I realized I could leverage my knowledge of LLMs to actually build a tool to help me with this task. The first thing was figure out how to get YouTube's data. YouTube has an API, but it's limited and it requires approval. After getting the data, I needed to find a way to process the data so that the LLMs can actually understand it and provide actual results that I wanted. The hardest part about this project was actually the cutting edge various cases. Videos without transcript, for example, very long videos, or even videos with multiple languages in it. The real various cases were actually pushing me to be creative with my solutions. What makes me proud of this project isn't just the fact that it works, but actually the fact that it solves a problem for me and also for a few friends that I actually shared it with. I'm not going to get into all the technical details on how I built it, but I will gladly make a video on it. If you guys are interested, just let me know in the comments and I will gladly share a video where I talk about the process of building this tool more detailed. Actually, if you want to try this tool out, I'll put a link in the description where you can sign up and actually use this tool for yourself, and I'll gladly receive feedback from you. The point is, I went from theoretical knowledge in just 30 days to actual practical knowledge that helped me build a tool that works. Something I could never imagine doing when I was just studying in university. So why was I able to learn a lot in just 30 days than I did during my first year of university? Well, there are a few key reasons. First, real-world applications. University teaches you concepts, but applying those concepts in building actual applications actually cements your knowledge and your understanding in a way that theoretical knowledge never will. When you are building something real, you encounter challenges that textbook never mention. For example, in university, we learn about neural networks in an idealized setting. But in the real world, you will deal with messy data, limited computational resources, and integrating it with existing systems. These constraints actually force you to understand the concepts and not just memorize them. Second is the motivation. When you are building something that you are interested and invested in, you actually put in way more effort than you will do in university, where you are mainly learning just to pass the exams. For example, in this project, I was building it because I was learning something new. The third is modern resources. University usually lags years behind what's actually happening in the real world, especially with AI, which is evolving really fast. You will be learning technologies that are either not used anymore or that are really obsolete. The fourth is the surrounding. Being surrounded by people that actually have the same vision as you or the same passion in what you are learning will actually motivate you and guide you through the learning process a lot easily. The fifth is the feedback loop. Like I said earlier, in university, you are going to submit an assignment or write an exam which you will have feedback on weeks later. In the real world, you build your tool, you test it, and you have feedback directly on the spot, and you can iterate and learn something new, and that actually accelerates your rate of learning. I'm not saying university is completely worthless. What I'm saying is the pace and the relevance of the knowledge that I learned there was not actually worth the time I was spending to learn those. Now, you might be thinking, that's great for you, but I don't have an AI job yet. Don't worry, I have a few advices for you. First, start building projects. Don't wait till you know enough. Start building right now. You will learn way faster than just studying. Pick something you want to work on and work on it, even if the result is very crappy. When I started my first projects that are on my GitHub, they were tiny and they didn't work. But now I'm able to build stuff that actually works. So it's a whole process and you have to follow it. Second is you have to take advantage of the resources that are available online. I'm not saying anything new here. Watch videos like the ones on Andrej Karpathy's channel, or even 3 Blue 1 Brown, which is a channel that teaches mathematical concepts on AI. Very nice, and I highly recommend following those. Also, GitHub is a platform that is full of open source projects that you can contribute to or even work on. The third for you will be to join a community. Like I said, for me, the biggest change was the environment and the people I surrounded myself with at work. But you can also find that either in your classes or in some meetups. You can find a way to join a Discord or an online forum where you will meet AI people who are actually passionate about this topic. If you're in university like me, try to connect your coursework to something practical. If you have an assignment where you have some freedom and some liberty to do what you want on it, try to use that opportunity to actually implement something interesting that will actually push you to make research and do something innovating. The fifth is consider a part-time job. Like I said earlier, when I came here in Germany, I was actually working in any kind of job I could find, but my focus was trying to get a job in my field, which are called VEC students here. And if you get to enter an IT field, even if it's not related to AI directly, then you will actually learn some skills or you will get some experience there that can help you in your own mindset or even in your own practical life. And also the sixth thing that I will mention is try documenting your journey as you learn. As you can see here, I'm trying to document my journey as I'm learning this AI stuff. And I highly recommend, because I think it's the best way to actually solidify what you know and what you learned and actually make a record of it. The progress is motivating when you can see it. Now, I want to address something important. I'm not suggesting that you drop out of university and don't do your coursework anymore. University is still quite important, especially the theoretical foundations that you need in order to understand the practical knowledge. What I am suggesting is that you supplement your knowledge from university with practical self-directed learning. Treat the university knowledge as a part of your education, not the entirety of it. To balance the theoretical knowledge with practical skills, it's important for you to view formal education as a foundation, not the full picture. Connecting academic concepts with practical applications reinforces your knowledge and builds skills. Seek out like-minded people in your environment so that you can actually learn and collaborate with them and grow up a lot faster. I want to be honest though, this approach is not without its challenges. First, it requires a lot of energy and time. It requires a lot of time and energy. Between university, my part-time job, and this content creation I'm trying to do, and my own side projects, I don't have much free time, and it's a trade-off I'm willing to take, and it's a sacrifice I'm willing to do. But I know fully that it is not sustainable indefinitely. Second, self-learning requires discipline. If you are not disciplined enough and you want to learn something on your own, you'll actually find yourself jumping from things to things without actually learning one thing and going deep into it. The third is the risk of burnout. AI can be overwhelming, especially how fast the technology is evolving. I actually found myself, as I'm learning, how much I don't actually know. And this can be stressful and can lead to burnout if you are just trying to learn everything on the spot. To combat this, I have learned to be selective with the things that I want to focus. I only learn the things that will help me reach my goal on a particular project that I have set up. What helps me with this is focusing on my own progress rather than comparing myself to someone else. I can actually see myself growth in the past few months and see how far I have come. So what is my final advice for anyone trying to learn AI effectively? Don't rely solely on university education. Supplement it with practical projects that you are actually genuinely interested in, modern online resources from people that are actually working on the field, community involvement, whether it's in person or online. If possible, real world experience, whether it is through a job or even through an internship, if possible. But remember that AI is just a tool to solve problems. It's not an end in itself. So focus on the problems that you want to solve and only learn the AI tools that will help you solve them. Be patient with yourself. Learning AI is a marathon, not a sprint. There will be some times where learning the processes will not click or the projects will not work as expected, but you have to understand that it is part of the process and it is to be expected. Stay curious and keep experimenting. The field is evolving rapidly and continuously, and the best way to keep yourself afloat is to have the mindset of continuous learning. The sad reality is that the traditional educational systems are actually struggling with the rapid advancement of technology to actually keep the pace, especially in fields like AI. And this is not only true for Germany, it's a global challenge. If you are currently studying AI in a university and you feel frustrated, remember that university is just the foundation, and use that foundation to actually build your practical skills outside of the classroom. I hope my experience helps you in your journey. Remember, everyone's path is different. Just choose the path that works for you, and we'll meet at the end. If you found this video helpful and half useful, then please click the like and subscribe button so that I can keep more content about my journey learning AI and building projects and even my daily life in Germany. Let me know in the comments if you have had similar experiences, what you are working on right now, and if you are interested in learning AI effectively. Also check the description of this video for the links that will be available that were mentioned in this video. And thanks for watching again, and I'll see you in the next one.